welcome the Kwanzaa Nights.
It's the Esoteric Eric Roberts podcast. Today is Christmas Day. We're celebrating Christmas in July with a film from 2012, Christmas in Compton. Merry Christmas, Roy.
Merry Christmas. Is this our first comedy? Was Pope of Greenwich Village a comedy?
This is maybe our first overt comedy. Coca-Cola Kid.
Oh, you're right. That was a comedy. This is probably our second comedy.
This is definitely the funniest entry. This is a PG-13 Christmas comedy that takes place in Compton, and it's a comedy that was written by accounting wizards, was the note that I made. It's directed by David Raynor. Did you recognize this guy?
David Raynor was a child actor who became a director. He directed a movie that was at movie theaters when we worked there called Whatever Works or Get Over It.
Whatever It Takes.
Whatever It Takes. That's
2000.
right. And that was the movie where we first, I think, saw James Franco and said he was funny because he had that line where he's like in the nursing home or he's in the hospital. He's like, I just like to be here and visit folks as I do from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize he had a history as an actor.
Oh, he has a big
David
history.
Raynor,
and I think his real name is Hubbard.
Ooh,
But then he has relatives that are Raynors. They don't spell it without the R. I think maybe like without the E, like he does. It's like Raynor, but his is like Raynor.
Is he an African American fellow?
He is.
Well, so this movie stars.
So the Raynor is for flavor.
Maybe so. Omar Gooding is the star of this one with Keith David. And besides Mr. Roberts, did you recognize anyone else in this film?
Sure. You got Cheryl
faces.
Lee Ralph, who is from one of the great all-time movies that no one ever watches and thinks about, is Witch Hunt by Paul Schrader, starring Dennis Hopper and Julian Sands and Eric Bogosian and Cheryl Lee Ralph as his witch buddy, Hippolyta Kropotkin.
Is she the gal that sings the song?
No, that's a man dressed as a woman.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, that's a movie that's stuck in my imagination.
Yeah, Witch Hunt is a crazy movie. It's part of a 2-part HBO series of TV movies that from the 90s that are both about a world where magic exists, and they take place in LA, and they have a detective named, his name is H.P. Lovecraft, his name is Philip Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And he doesn't use magic, but everybody else does in Los Angeles in the 40s or 50s. And the first one was Cast a Deadly Spell, which is the more remembered movie starring Fred Ward, and it's okay. But the second one that's not on HBO Max and nobody watches, Witch Hunt, is an amazing movie. We're just a kind of a singular, really funny melodrama, smart, funny melodrama.
HBO Max is how I saw Christmas in Compton.
Me too.
So for you listeners who are HBO Max subscribers, you can find the film on there. Well, Eric Roberts with another with credit in this one.
Wow.
And he is featured in the poster.
He did make the poster.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the Cliff's Notes here. There's a lot of plot to cover. You wouldn't believe it, but there is. Well,
this is a Christmas convolution.
Yeah. So we begin on December 18th, and we have a little Advent calendar window opening.
Yeah, I liked this. The Advent calendar thing.
Yeah, it was nice. We have Omar Gooding as Derek, and he's coming home late to what looks like a nice pad, right? Did you
What's your first experience of Omar Gooding?
Well, it probably would have been Wild and Crazy Kids on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
That he was the host of.
Yes, he was. That's right. That would be my first memory of him. What's your memory of the show Wild and Crazy Kids?
I don't remember exactly. I know it's a game show. I know it's modeled after Double Dare, right?
Well, what they would do is they would have 3 huge teams of kids, and they would do various obstacle coursey kind of things or different games like that they would make up. Like they'd have like bumper boats, or you'd have to spin your head a bunch of times on the bat and run around dizzy and all of this stuff. And they would plan like 3 or 4 events for every episode, and they had 3 hosts, I believe, one of which was Omar Gooding. And I remember the commercials for this show on Nickelodeon coming on, and it just seemed like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. And I want to say it debuted sometime around this time of year, because I remember being on summer vacation and it just being a really disappointing show. I think maybe I've always held that against Omar Gooding, how disappointed I was in that show. And also I associate it with that feeling of summer days ticking by and school about to start. it's like there's some kind of sad nostalgia of having to go back to school and a show being disappointing when you're like 10.
Yeah, that daytime Nickelodeon feeling. Do you
Yeah.
remember the theme song for the show?
Wild and Crazy Kids or something like
Wild
that,
and
right?
Crazy Kids. That's all I really remember from it. And then I never really watched Hanging with Mr. Cooper, but I know
I
he was
did.
on it, and I imagine he was one of the students.
Guess so. Yeah, I would probably guess so. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen Hanging with Mr. Cooper that I don't remember who he was on it.
Well, somewhere along the trail, I did eventually learn that Omar is Cuba's brother.
Yes, the son of Cuba Gooding Sr.
And then forgot it, and then remembered again when I started looking him up on this. Yeah, Cuba Gooding. Do you say Cuba or Cuba?
That's a good question. I don't know what the right answer is. I guess I say Cuba like the country, but it may be Cuba.
I think it's Cuba. Yeah. Well, see, I say the country like Cuba,
Ah,
and then I say the actor's name Cuba. But I guess
interesting.
It's
The
a
country would be
tomato
Cuba.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, so Omar would be the younger sibling.
Yes, because Cuba Gooding Sr. was the lead singer of The Main Ingredient.
Right. Can you list off some of their hits?
Everybody plays the fool sometime, baby.
Is that the only one?
Off the top of my head, yes.
Yeah, that's a catchy one. That's
So
all
you
they
sit
need.
around, bro.
Yeah. Let's see here. Omar is this guy Derek. I was talking about his pad, which is kind of the first thing we
Oh,
see
yes.
in this movie. It's nice. There's a bar. He's got a bar in there. It's nicely lit. You feel like this is just his place, and he collapses onto the bed late at night, and he's only asleep for a little bit before a garage door opens, revealing it to be a garage apartment. On the other side is his father, played by Keith David, who's dressed as Santa Claus.
This confused me. I guess Keith David is his stepfather.
I think he's his biological father.
Are you sure? So that was confusing to me because towards the end, there's a line where he says, or Omar says that he's thinking about taking up instant fatherhood with that girl. And Keith David says it's the best thing I ever did or something like that.
Yeah, I pondered that for a second and thought, well, what? And then just decided, I think he's just talking about fatherhood in general.
In general? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, we may have missed something, but I guess for all intents and purposes, he's just his father.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is Big Earl, played by Keith David, and he owns a Christmas tree lot. Derek lives with his father, and the mother has passed away. I guess we learned that a little bit later. But yeah, it's like 4 a.m, and Big Earl needs his son to go pick up some Christmas trees for the lot. And then we see, after the sun has risen, Derek and coworker Squeaky are driving in some snowy mountainous area outside of Compton.
Yes, I was wondering where they are.
I don't know. Big Bear?
Maybe so. Maybe they go down to Big Bear.
I don't remember how far away Big Bear is from the LA
No,
area.
it kind of makes sense. You're talking sense here.
Yeah. So we learned that Derek is an aspiring talent manager, and he's just lost a client, and the client's name is DJ Killionaire.
Yes.
Who is a child rapper, and
and he's so good.
Yeah, and the child's mother, I guess, gave him over to another manager.
It sounds nothing like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. So back at the Christmas tree lot here, this is Big Earl's Compton Christmas trees with a Z.
Yes.
And it's snowing in Compton in this first reveal of this Christmas tree lot, which is pretty odd.
That is pretty odd.
You think it's ever snowed in Compton?
It snowed in LA a couple times, like one day or 2 nights in like 2 years ago or something, maybe 4 years ago now. It snowed a couple of days in LA. So I guess Compton has seen snow maybe.
And it's that classic post production, like digital snow. It looks real nice. Not on anything. It's just floating around. We learned some things about Big Earl. We learned that he loves Christmas. He's in the spirit. He's reading this version of A Night Before Christmas. That's kind of like a ghetto version of The Night Before Christmas. And we learn that he's success driven, and he's kind of disappointed in his son, who never really made much of a career out of this whole music managing dream that he's been chasing.
Dad says there are no victims, only people who make good decisions and bad decisions. I was thinking, take that, rapo victims.
Yeah.
They made some bad decisions.
Maybe you could say that in a film in 2012, but I don't know how well that would be.
It depends on how conscious your filmmaking is.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if you're doing a community conscious film, then sure, certainly.
That's right.
You can get some whatever what is that? Slack cut.
I forgot to say that this is a Christmas film and it's a comedy film, but it's also a conscious film, and we'll explain that in a little while. And we have an employee meeting, and we get to meet the crew of this Christmas tree lot. Okay, well, right before this, Derek runs into a forklift operator, Kendra, who's the romantic interest. Roy, would you say there's instant chemistry between Derek and Kendra?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember thinking that I knew her, the lady playing Kendra, from something, and then realized I did not when I looked her up. That was one of those fake out. She has a really familiar face.
She's an attractive gal.
Portia Coleman.
Portia Coleman. And the co-workers are definitely smitten by her. Squeaky and Pookie.
And Pookie, I believe, is played by Edwin Hodge plays Pookie, and he is the small boy tiger in the movie Major Payne, which I watched for this, which probably had bigger laughs than Christmas in Compton, but also kind of annoyed me a lot. And I wanted to ask you, in regards to Major Payne, do you find a hard time rooting for the Wayans brothers? Are they like charisma voids? Not that they're bad actors, but are they just really uncharismatic? Do you find that as soon as a Wayans brother pops up in a movie, you want to root against that character?
It's funny you're bringing this up because I never really thought about it. I always thought they were just comedy sidekick kind of guys for the most part. And then I recently saw the newest Sofia Coppola movie. That's called, and I'm blanking on it.
Oh goodness, I've started it 3 times and not made it past the first scene.
But one of the Wayans plays
Marlon.
Marlon plays the husband of Rashida Jones, and there's this all of this suspicion that he's cheating on her, and he's really used to great effect. And it's almost exactly like you said, like you don't really root for him. He seems like a decent enough husband and father in it, but yeah, there's something missing.
I was thinking, yes, in Major Payne, I was like, I find Damon Wayans annoying, but would I find another actor less annoying? Probably. And is that Damon Wayans' fault, or is that something about Damon Wayans where I find when he just pops up in a movie, I start rooting against the character? And the same is true of Marlon Wayans. I was thinking about the movie Lady Killers, where it's about a team of robbers, and then they start dwindling down, and he's not bad in the movie, and his part is funny. I love the movie, the remake of the Lady Killers by the Coen brothers, another super, in my opinion, underrated movie. However, when I'm watching the movie, I root for his character to die first. When you start realizing they're going to die, I really want him to die, and there's no other reason other than I'm a very racist man, and that I just, there's something about the Wayans brothers that makes you think that I don't like them. The same is true of other actors too, though. It's like I find Leonardo DiCaprio hard to root for in the movies. I love when he plays someone like in Wolf of Wall Street or Django Unchained where he's bad, because it's like that really works for me. It's not that he's not compelling or can't act. There's just something about him that I have a hard time rooting for him.
Yeah, I never really had to root for the Wayans brothers, I guess, because none of the movies I ever liked them or watched with any of the Wayans guys, I ever really there were no stakes. I had no stakes in any of these dudes. Like when I was younger, I loved I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Oh yeah.
And I loved In Living Color when I was a little kid.
Me
watched
too.
it with my family.
I was inclined initially to really like the Wayans brothers. I remember I liked Damon Wayans in The Last Boy Scout, but a lot of it was like, because what was it? In Living Color was so hot on TV and the hype was so huge. Looking back now, it's like I don't even think what I can go back and find of In Living Color is funny at all. But maybe I've just not seen the right skits.
Yeah, The Head Detective. It's stuff that's funny as hell when you're 10 years old.
Yeah. It's very broad.
Fire Marshal Bill and all that stuff. So
remember when Tommy Davidson from In Living Color used to go on talk shows and complain that he didn't get famous, but Jim Carrey did, and it was because in his mind that Jim Carrey was the only white guy on In Living Color, so of course he broke out. He's like, I don't think I can recall Tommy Davidson doing anything funny in my entire life.
Tommy Davidson was another guy I loved as a kid. I had one of his stand-up specials on cassette tape and would listen to it all the time. But
whoa.
And I recently went back and watched this thing of him doing impressions, and he does like Prince, and he's doing like a bunch of R&B singers from the late 80s period. And oh man, I loved that when I was a kid. And of course you watch it 20, 30 years later and it's like, yeah, okay, not really as funny as I remember it being. When you really think about it, Jim Carrey really did steal Tommy Davidson's career from.
Yes, he
right?
really did.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
Tommy Davidson in The Mask?
Probably be exactly the same. It's true.
It really would be. It
It
would have been exactly the
same.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
that's a
hated
good
the movie
point.
The Mask.
Yeah, me too. Even as a kid.
Yeah, well, we weren't quite kids. We were what, 13 when that came out?
Yeah, we would have been tweens.
Yeah, and it was just like we were exactly too old to just be like, wait a second, this is a comedy with no laughs. It's really a children's film with some unpleasant humor in it.
You and I had this conversation about how that period of time was all about like insane, shape-shifting, impression-doing, bombastic comedic character films, like Robin Williams as the genie.
Mask would have been a Robin Williams thing.
In The Mask is really kind of like a Beetlejuice ripoff kind of movie. Beetlejuice did it best, but there are many other.
Just really funny and strange.
Well, back to the plot here. We have an employee huddle that's led by Big Earl, and then we meet some of these other coworkers. We meet a Korean coworker named Steve Ho.
Oh, I lied. Pookie is not the guy from Major Payne. It is, in fact, oh gosh, is it Tyrone? Yes, Tyrone.
You're
Tyrone
talking, yes,
is the guy from Major Payne, the one who's in the car with to go get the trees.
Oh no, that would be
that's
Squeaky.
Pookie. Oh damn,
the guy with the little pork pie hat.
Oh, man. Now I'm confusing all his
and
friends.
The chin strap beard.
I guess that, yeah, Pookie, Orlando Brown, Tiger, he doesn't have a beard, does he?
No, Orlando. No. So we'll get to Orlando Brown because I have some notes on this actor.
They had so many employee characters Squeaky, Pookie, and whoever Orlando Brown played, those three characters could have just been anybody.
Orlando Brown was the martial arts instructor who's leasing a little.
Oh, area. Yes. Which made me think, have you seen My Name is Dolomite?
No.
Or what's that? There's a part where he wants to put Kung Fu in the movie because it's about Rudy Ray Moore making Dolomite. And when he wants to make the Dolomite movie, he insists on doing karate. And he's like, any movie for brothers has to have karate in it. And I was like, even in this crazy Christmas in Compton, all of a sudden out of nowhere, we have the martial arts guy. Is this a fact that movies for Black people really do all have to have martial arts in them?
I don't know. It's the worst. That martial arts section is like the worst too.
Yes. We also get introduced to you're right. My favorite employee, Charles Kim, as Steve Ho.
Yeah, Charles Kim. Now, has Charles Kim been in anything else?
He's been in lots of stuff in the background. He's another guy that I thought maybe I'd seen him in something, and then it turned out not really. I watched him in a blink and you'll miss it kind of part on an episode of The Unit from season 2 called Subconscious, guest starring Don Rickles and Linda Hunt. And it turned out it was a really good Unit episode. Unit on Hulu.
So there's a lot of race humor in this that is kind of feels dated now. Definitely 2012 race humor, and
but it's
crack
pretty gentle.
None of it's too extreme.
No.
But they make fun of Steve Ho, saying that they need somebody. They make fun of his driving ability.
Yes,
basically.
They make fun of him for being the Asian driver.
Yeah. Keith David says, I need someone with a driver's license who isn't Korean. So in the middle of this employee meeting, Derek gets a call and he gets very excited because he finds out that he's going to be getting a check from a record executive named Tommy Maxell. And this is like a settlement payment. I forget what you would call it. He's getting his finder's fee. It's a finder's fee for $300,000.
Seems like a lot of money for a finder's fee.
It does. And Derek is very excited, but his father, Big Earl, is very unconvinced that he will get this money.
But it's not just really for giving them this new act. He also found DJ Killionaire from Maxell and hasn't been paid on that yet. And now apparently DJ Killionaire's got a new video cut for his song and it's going to be debuted or something. So maybe not all of the $300,000 is for the one band. Maybe it's a combination of the two.
See, I thought it was just for Killionaire.
Oh, you may be right.
But it doesn't really matter.
You're probably right.
Also in this section here, we meet Aunt Abuta.
Cheryl Lee Rao.
Who would be Derek's aunt, who she's super into Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Her sister has passed away and she has a strange relationship with Big Earl. They have a strange,
kind of human, regular. I don't think it was that strange. I think this kind of thing happens a lot.
Yeah, not too strange, I guess. They have a soft romantic history.
Yes.
In the absence of the wife who's passed away. So from here we go to a limo with Derek, and he's riding with his current clients. This is a girl group called Sugar Stuff, and it's 3 gals, and he's on his way with them to Maxell Records to work out their deal.
Yes, and even in 2012, I would think that stretch limos would be only ironically cool. So when we see them in the stretch limo, even in 2012, I think this is a year where that still would not have been cool. So it's kind of a joke. They think that's so neat to be in the limo.
Yeah, kind of tacky.
Mm-hmm.
One of the gals in Sugar Stuff is this actress Fifi Dobson, who looks exactly like Candace Cameron.
Oh yeah.
Did you notice the
No, but now that you say it,
yeah, she's like, I wrote in my notes here, she's a melanated Candace Cameron. Yeah, I mean, it looks exactly like her. And so now, okay, we're in Tommy's office, and we finally meet the man, Eric Roberts, as
Yes.
Tommy Maxell, and he has cut Derek a check that is missing a zero. He's only given $30,000, and this is his finder's fee for. I'm pretty sure like it's just the finder's fee for DJ Killionaire. I don't know if Sugar Stuff is involved yet. So they start squabbling over the contract, and this is an important thing here: is that Derek does not read fine print, and
yes, and I think the fine print on this wasn't even. That the fine print on this apparently was super tiny and said that there was the long-term contract to follow. So what he signed wasn't a real contract.
If there's one lesson you learn from Christmas in Compton, it's that you must read the fine print.
Yes.
And it will be hammered into your head by the time you finish the film.
Then when he shows Roberts how impossibly small the fine print is, Roberts takes the document and shreds it.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. That made me laugh.
It's like, was this signed before a notary? At what point could he just murder Roberts and get away with it? Did you buy Eric Roberts as a Jew?
No, he's doing a very strange accent in this.
Yeah, he's doing. I kind of liked him in it, but yeah, I was kind of thinking that there's such a history with Jewish people and African Americans in the music industry,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I did think a couple lines had a little. Oh yeah, I started out in New York too, but it was odd.
His accent sounds like a black accent to me.
Oh,
maybe he was leaning a little heavy on his Louisiana accent.
Interesting.
I don't know. There's a strange. It sounded like he was kind of playing it up a little bit.
See, I thought he was going for kind of a New Yorker, a bearded New Yorker.
Yeah, I didn't really get that. But so he brings up this expensive.
I also thought it was a conscious move, perhaps unconscious, but perhaps conscious, to not make him Jewish-looking. Cast Roberts, who is Greek, who, as we know, are the poor Jews, but he reads more as a Gentile, I guess. I don't know. Judaism is a religion, not a race.
Yeah, there's some ethnic overlaps, right?
I don't know.
I think so. So there's an expensive diamond ring that gets brought up here.
It was actually $300,000. Some pink diamond.
Pink diamond. Never heard of a pink diamond. Have you?
I don't know. No, I don't know much about jewels though. I just assume I can't afford them all. That anyone worth having, I cannot afford.
He presents it to Derek. It's in a box, right? He bought it for his wife. He's gonna give it to his wife.
Yes,
that's how I recall. And then that's pretty much that scene. Derek goes back to the tree lot. Now we see that Big Earl has this program where he mentors local kids about college and their future.
Yeah, he tries to make everybody a success. That's right.
Yeah, he's obsessed with success.
To the community. And he's got these kids, and one kid comes late, and he says that his dad woke him up late for the bus or something like that. And he says, "That's no excuse. You're responsible for your own life." She really made me laugh.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. They give a lot of the good ones to Keith David.
Yes, and he's game. You know, he can. It's hard to tell sometimes if his lines are so good or if he's just other people. But like, for example, Omar Gooding can be good in things like I liked him on Deadwood, and other things. But in this, like, you know, he's pulling down the middle, but sometimes or holding down the middle of the movie. But I felt like he could have been a little better in it, maybe.
Yeah,
I did like that. Not even his goatee could measure up to his father's.
Yeah, he's got a really horrible little dot on his chin that kind of.
It's real weird.
Yeah, it reminded me of the.
I wanted to shave it off the whole movie.
There's a picture of. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking again. I'll come back to it. We'll talk about the goatee some more later, hopefully. I'm lost here. Hang on, give me a second. Okay, so yeah, Big Earl he's got this program where he mentors kids, and that night he's arguing with Derek in the garage apartment about his future and how Derek had gone to school and to be this big music industry guy, and none of it worked out, and it's been 4 years now, and he has nothing to show for it. And in the middle of it, Big Earl collapses, and for a second there, I was thinking, "Whoa,
Yeah,
that's the end of Keith David in
me
this
too.
film."
I
There
thought,
goes his cameo.
Yeah, same.
But no, they were just heart palpitations, and he's bedbound. And in the next morning, Big Earl's not going to go to work. Somebody Squeaky comes over with some legal documents, and Big Earl adds his son to the deed of the tree lot and the house.
He makes him a partner in the tree lot and the house.
Derek is in charge of the lot while his father is recovering. And this is where we see that there's like sections of the lot that are being leased out to like local business owners, because he hits up this martial arts instructor played by Orlando Brown.
Oh, wait, before he goes and hits up the guy, Keith David gives him a list of things that need to be taken care of. And I decided that I would just go ahead and spoil every laugh line if you haven't seen this, because we spoil every movie. That was a big decision I had to make, was whether just to tell every joke I thought was funny. But Omar Gooding had a good one here where he's reading the things on the list. He's like, Schindler's List wasn't this long.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed at that. But yeah, Big Earl also tells him that people are going to try all sorts of things to get out of paying and give you all kinds of hard luck stories.
Oh yes, which they deal with a lot.
Yes, that comes up a lot in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, we're getting closer to Christmas, and you're going to start to hear everything.
Yeah, this is Compton, where even the mayor has a sad story.
Yeah. So this thing where Derek is going around the lot, and we see that there's like little kiosks set up. It's hard to explain, because it's never explained in the film. There's like later there's a part with an exterminator that's very confusing. Remember that?
Ooh.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Okay.
So the martial arts guy, Blackie
Oh,
Chan.
yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. This is where we get to Blackie Chan.
Yeah. So this is Orlando Brown, who was a former child actor. And I'm watching this with my girlfriend, who could host her own podcast when it comes to Nickelodeon shows and like weird Disney children's sitcoms. Like, she knows all that stuff. That's So Raven. Like, she knows all the lore about it, and she's seen them all. And so she instantly recognized Orlando Brown and started to tell me about him. And I started to look him up, and he's had a sad life. He's had a lot of problems with meth.
Whoa.
And he was also in love with Raven Simone for a long time, and like publicly declaring his love for the famous lesbian Raven Simone.
Whoa.
And he got a tattoo of her name on his neck at one point. So it says
Holy
here,
smokes.
in 2018, Brown debuted to the public his new tattoo. Later that year, he entered rehab after an intervention from friends and family.
So he got the tattoo 6 years after Christmas in Compton.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does have a lot of tattoos on him in this scene as the martial arts guy.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was on there then. I thought he probably got it during That's So Raven.
So this is some fun stuff here, Roy. In 2018, Orlando Brown appeared on an episode of Dr. Phil. He made false claims, among them that he was the son of late American musical icon Michael Jackson.
Whoa.
Saying his full name was Orlando Brown Prince Michael Jackson Jr.
Whoa.
He additionally claimed that he had been sober for 4 years, which was not true. So hopefully at the date that this episode airs, I hope that Orlando Brown is doing better.
Yeah, addiction's a tough monkey.
Yeah,
and speed's got to be the worst, because you can just always do it if you can get your hands on it. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it because you're awake.
Mm-hmm. Unrequited love for a lesbian actress is a hell of a drug. So while Derek is in charge of the lot, he meets Kendra's 8-year-old daughter. So this is a thing, and he's a little bit taken aback at that. And this is a very precocious little girl who points out things. And
her first line is, "Mommy wants a man who don't smoke weed in the house."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then he
doesn't play Xbox in his underwear.
Yeah. So during this time,
I was thinking that she needs to beat that child.
Derek gets another call, and he gets a tip, right, from a guy in a restaurant. I forget how he gets the call, or does he? Somehow he gets tipped off that Tommy, Eric Roberts' character, is whining and dining the Sugar Stuff girls at a restaurant, and he's offering them this big sum of money. It's like 150 grand or something like that. So Derek races from there's a car accident. I forgot
He
about
and
all
he and
this.
Charles Kim.
Yeah, him and Steve Ho get in this accident, and it's some kind of scam from an auto shop where they create accidents and they get clients.
Yes, and I was thinking that the Straight Out of Tijuana or whatever. What was the
The
guy's
sign on the side of the truck.
Yeah, so we
it
have to
says-
remember that that's from several years before the Straight Outta Compton movie, so it would have been a little fresher of a joke then than now when we've seen Straight Outta everything.
Yeah, that's true. Long after the Straight Outta Compton record.
Yes, but before the movie.
Yeah, so there's a car accident and some kind of altercation that's happening with this guy named Ty. I was looking it up
So
right
many
as
characters.
I know. I think his
It
name
was
is
Emiliano Torres as Trey.
Trey Lowe, right? Because he says, "My name's Trey Lowe," and the guy goes, "I'm Steve Ho. I'm Ho. Nice to meet you, Lowe."
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he's a real big. He's a tough guy. He's a big
Steve
guy.
Ho annoyed the fuck out of me. He was my lead LVP of the movie.
Yeah, he wasn't the best, but maybe he had the most heart, Roy. Maybe he did. So yeah, Derek runs away basically like from this whole thing when he gets tipped off, and he shows up at this restaurant and interrupts Roberts and the girls at this having some lunch or dinner or whatever. He's basically going to lose the girls. They're going to kick him to the curb.
Yes, Roberts has promised them the money only if they kick him to the curb as their manager. If they kick him off.
And there's another mention of the ring once again. So you're
no, he shows
thinking,
the ring to them to show them the kind of things he can afford.
That's it. Yes. And Derek overhears Roberts talking about that he has a mouse infestation problem in his house.
Yes. This is an odd thing where he's like, yeah, you got lots of rats running around in there. And he's like, no, I've got a mouse in the wall that I want to kill or something like that. And it's the mouse in the wall is Omar. But then it turned out it really was a mouse in the wall. He wasn't joking.
Well, most conveniently, the scene after this is Derek back at the tree lot where there's a rat exterminator who's selling his wares on the site. And I don't know how any of that works, but I don't think the screenwriters knew how it worked. They just kind of came up with it and threw it in there.
Yeah. So immediately, Omar listens to this guy and then just shows up at Eric Roberts' house dressed up in a full hazmat suit.
Yeah, with his face covered. And we see Tommy and his wife with the ring on her finger.
Yes, and the wife is somebody that is an actor who's worked a lot over time.
Did the pink diamond ring look to you like a high school class ring, kind of?
God, it was pretty crazy. Like, it was just so huge.
Very gaudy and massive. I couldn't see any woman wearing that.
Do you remember what his wife's name was? Was it Ginger, or is that she one of the singers? Oh, wait, she's one of the singers. No. It is the girl that played Ginger. She's the main girl from like a movie with Adrian Brody from back in the day. And I guess she was on the Weird Science TV show. She was on some late phase Beverly Hills 90210. And then she was in she was in a bunch of movies when she was around 20. She's in Training Day, Kate and Leopold. Her big thing was she starred in a movie called Love the Hard Way with Adrian Brody. But she's just in two shots of this. And she was in the movie Dancing at the Blue Iguana, the Michael Radford film.
She has a bit of a Yasmin Bleeth quality to her.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't really get a good look at her. I thought that she was black. She's very tan in the scene. I thought,
all of the women in this movie, with exception perhaps of Portia Coleman and Cheryl Lee Ralph, are of kind of indeterminate ethnicity. Like you said, the one woman was like a melanin up version of Candace Cameron. I wasn't sure she wasn't just white, had a tan. I had no idea. I was like, these women are like, I don't know what ethnicity they are.
Yeah. And well, I got an extra laugh out of how dark skinned the wife was, because I thought, this kind of plays into
his
Roberts' character as this wannabe type guy.
No, she's Puerto Rican.
Oh, okay. Well, it's very crazy because our good friend Omar Gooding is spraying some stuff.
Yes.
In Tommy Maxwell's house, and it's some kind of knockout juice. Who knows where he got it or what it is. I wish I could find some of that stuff.
Just get a bunch of knockout juice.
Yeah, just get some knockout canned air.
Chloroform on the walls.
He chloroform mists Tommy and his wife and the butler, I believe.
Oh, when Tommy falls down, when Eric Roberts falls down, I got a good laugh out of it.
And Omar steals the pink diamond ring off of his wife's finger, not easily. He has to like kind of tug it off of there. And I didn't find much of that very humorous, but it goes on and on
No,
and on.
the weak spot in this movie, to me, is David Raynor. I kind of
Yeah.
feel like a lot of this movie's problem is that it just never gets hilarious with a pace. It kind of langers. It has a lot of laughs in there, and I did find the movie moving to some degree and warm. But yeah, if I had a complaint, is that it just never gathers much steam, and I kind of blame a lot of the staging of these scenes on David Raynor.
Yeah,
than the
there's
script.
not much tension created.
No, I could also feel like if I was the writer of this movie, I might see the movie and be like, man, I wrote a better movie than this.
Yeah. Well, this is one of those movies where there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, too much.
It's one of those too much movies where you feel like they have, after a certain amount of time goes by, that they've forgotten other plot points because too much time has gone by. You dinged me on that on things that I've written in the past where you're like, so many pages go by that, people will begin to forget.
And just think that you've forgotten too.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, these movies like this, they're tough. They're a slog, but man, they do inform. Like there's a famous Altman quote where he said that he learns more from bad films than he does from good films. But man, those bad ones are kind of hard to watch sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Well, Derek gets the key, gets the ring. Who
He
cares if
steals
it's
the
a ring
ring.
or a key, right?
Yeah, so now he's committed grand larceny.
He's committed grand larceny. He goes to a pawn shop.
Right, B&E
owned
and
by-
assault and battery, right?
He's done a lot of bad things.
Yeah, he's going away for a lot of years here if he gets caught.
Yeah. I wonder if he gets caught.
No,
Did
I
you wonder
doubt
if he would get caught?
I did.
He goes to a pawn shop that's owned by Delicious, who had a good line that you brought up to me.
Yes, Delicious was probably my favorite character.
He was my favorite character.
And Miguel Nunez, who plays Delicious, is one of these guys who's just been in everything forever. I watched
Yeah.
a bad movie with him called Hollywood and Wine last night, but he's just been on every TV show. You can tell he's like one of those guys who's of mysterious age, but he seems kind of old, and he really has been around since like the 80s or something.
Well,
as an adult.
I love that you brought up mysterious age, Roy, because we also meet Leslie
This is
Jones.
a mysterious age movie. Yeah, like it's like, how old is Omar Gooding?
Yeah. Well, okay, we meet SNL alum Leslie Jones.
Yes.
Her name is Tiny. She's one of
She's
Delicious's
Tiny.
employees. But how old would you say Leslie Jones is?
I'm guessing she's a woman in her 50s.
She's 53 years old.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I just thought that she would be much younger. I would put her
Ah.
at 10, 15 years younger.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, she definitely reads as older. And I think I read one time that Chris Rock recommended her to SNL and they were leery of her because of her age. So they usually have younger people on. But yeah, in this first scene, I'm a person, I find Leslie Jones annoying a lot when I encounter her in things. And I found her annoying in this scene, but maybe Miguel Nunez warmed me up with that line when she calls him in and he says to Omar Gooding, "Now I don't do business with cops or snitches, and you look mighty snitches."
They go to great lengths to keep it at a PG-13.
Oh yes, there's another one where later on when Steve Ho yells out, "That's bull crap."
Yeah, this is bull crap. So this would be 2 years before Leslie Jones
Was
made her
even on
debut
SNL? Wow.
SNL. And I guess she was a stand-up comic, but I'd never seen her. I don't think I'd ever seen her before I saw her on SNL.
Yeah, it seems like everything I've ever seen her do is her first scene in this, where she plays a woman playing on her, I guess, physical unattractiveness to men and comes onto them and makes them uncomfortable.
That's her thing, right?
It's immediately what she does to Omar Gooding. Yeah.
Yeah. So we find out that Delicious she's gonna try and sell this ring, but it's going to be for a much lower sum than what Roberts paid for it. And he comes back to Derek with two offers. One that's kind of it's a very good one, and it's through a vetted source. And the other one is from a mysterious buyer for a much higher bid. And of course, what is Derek going to do? He's going to go for the higher one.
Yes.
So there's this thing of Delicious meeting these buyers. I guess he sets up the meeting in a Compton convenience store.
Yeah, in his liquor store, right? It's in his own. Isn't it the same one that Omar's in?
Yeah, I
It's
couldn't
like a liquor
remember
store,
if he
yeah.
goes. It's a pawn shop / liquor store.
Maybe so, or maybe it's the Delicious just has a bunch of businesses. But Tiny works at. No, wait, we don't know that. Yeah. I guess maybe he just owns a bunch of different businesses around town.
Yeah. That makes more sense. It looks like it's a different location, but it's definitely like a
You're probably
convenience
right.
store / liquor
Just
store.
blended together for me. You're probably right. Because he
And
does tell him he's a pawn guy. And then it turns out, like, yeah, when they have this meet, it's at a liquor store.
It has the classic Compton protective bulletproof glass over around the cash register.
I remember when I worked at a convenience store in the middle of the night, they told me the glass was bullet resistant.
But not proof.
Yeah, it's not proof, but resistant. I don't know what that means.
Roy, have you ever journeyed to Compton?
I've been around South Central and stuff. I'm not sure exactly the boundaries of Compton, but
Yeah.
I've been in, I've probably been in Compton.
You think they shot the film in that area?
I think so. I
The
wouldn't be
tree lot is
surprised.
kind of could be shot anywhere. They could have shot that in Utah if they wanted to.
Yeah, true.
You don't see much beyond the borders of the tree lot when they're in those scenes.
One thing I did like about the movie is that I don't know when they shot the movie, but the wardrobe, whoever did it, really nailed LA winter. Like it's like when you see them in the daytime, they don't have coats on. They have like a long sleeve shirt and a scarf or something, and then at night they'll have a coat.
Yeah, I remember that from my
That's
time.
LA. That's LA style.
It gets really cold at night.
Yeah, not really cold, but you're not people when they move to Los Angeles or move to California, Southern California, somewhere nice. It's like you get so acclimated to nice weather so quickly. So when it gets to like 39 degrees Fahrenheit, you think it's -40.
Yeah. We have this scene between Delicious and who turns out to be Tommy's henchman. This
And we already knew that he
guy.
was Tommy's henchman. We'd seen him before.
Yeah, in the background. And this guy looked familiar.
He's in tons of stuff as a big guy for like 30. He's a guy who's in his 50s as well. I looked him up because he looks so familiar. He's one of the guys that Buster Scruggs shoots in the beginning of Ballad of Buster Scruggs at the cantina before he goes to the bar where he kills Surly Joe.
Okay.
But you don't really even get a good look at him in that. But he's just, he's played a huge ogre dude for like 30 years.
And he kind of has a Lou Ferrigno voice.
Yes.
A deaf voice.
He was good in this.
Roy, do you remember?
In fact, this scene right here where they do the exchange is the best directed scene of the movie. It's a really, this is a good scene. This exchange scene they have.
It's a good point. Yeah. It's intriguing.
It kind of gathers a little tension and fun.
Yeah.
And
there's all this passing things through this little box and
and first
bullet resistant box.
Yeah, Roberts's guy gives Nunez a bunch of money that's like $100 bill on a stack of ones. And then Miguel Nunez, Delicious, has given the thug a Cracker Jack ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a reoccurring Cracker Jack thing in this too.
Oh yeah, the real Cracker Jack theme, huh? And then the thug pulls, and a couple other guys pull guns, and then Tiny comes around with a rocket launcher, and then they've got like 5 other dudes with guns. I liked this part.
Yeah, they run them off, but no exchange is made. There's no ring. Yeah, no ring was given to anybody and no money. Also around this time, Derek, he tries to trick Sugar Stuff into staying with him. They're in a music studio. They're in a recording studio. And Delicious comes in as like some
fake record executive.
Fake record exec. Yeah, he's doing like a British accent, but the Sugar Stuff girls catch on to that pretty fast. So there's a lot of scenes like this. There's a lot of just throwaway kind of scenes.
There's a part where Cheryl Lee Ralph and Keith David are talking somewhere in here, and she talks about how she's talking all this Kwanzaa stuff, and he's like, man, nobody celebrates Kwanzaa except for you and that one brother from Blood Diamond. And then he also says, I only celebrate 2 holidays, Christmas and the NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, they set up the romance thing between Keith David and the aunt. It is not strange. I should have chosen better words.
Yeah, it's kind of thing I think happens to people a lot in life.
And it's kind of handled kind of nice in this.
Yeah, they're both fun actors and cuties. They're both attractive older people, and it's like you want them to get together.
Yeah, it's much more interesting to watch than Derek and the Kendra girl.
Yeah, that other than giving that little girl a chance for jokes, that doesn't really gain much traction throughout the story at all. I really thought that romance was going to be more of the movie. I'd say you get more romance between Cheryl Lee Ralph and Keith David.
Yeah, you get your obligatory scenes. There's a scene around this time of Derek having this dinner date on the roof of the tree lot building. Yes. They're eating Chinese food.
Yeah, that was a really whack a poorly staged scene. It seemed like I was out of student film or something all of a sudden. I wonder if they just had no time.
Yeah, not great. So Derek finds out he's not going to get any of the ring money from the initial buyer, and how that whole thing went bad. So they go for this other guy. This is where I'm going to need your help, Roy, because when they start to get into collateral and all this stuff, I really zone out. But do you remember this scene? This is the initial buyer, right? That they
I
go
can't
back
remember.
to. Derek is
can't-
going to put up the Christmas tree lot that he is now, co-owner.
Co-owner, yes.
He's going to put it up as collateral for a loan from a loan shark. I think he's going to
This
use
got
this
fuzzy to me.
money. He still has the ring. I don't know. I really zoned out here. I'm not sure what he was trying to do with the ring, or if this thing with the loan shark had anything to do with the ring. I know he wants the money to try and keep Sugar. He wants to give it to Sugar stuff, right?
Yes, to make them think that it's money from a record company.
Yeah, he's
Or
going to great
producer.
lengths to keep Sugar Crisp as his main clients.
Yeah, he's been on this egg for a long time, and
he knows that they're going to be big.
And and everybody, and if Tommy Maxell wants him so bad, then of course that's a good thing to stick with.
Yeah,
we know Tommy Maxell's impeccable taste.
Well, Derek enters into something very, very dangerous here.
Yes,
we know that
after breaking and entering and assaulting and battering and theft of $100,000 jewels.
As soon as the plot starts to pick up speed, instantly we're thrown into a bunch of more random peripheral bullshit.
Where we got to where the last white lady shows up at the Christmas tree lot.
Yeah, right around this time.
With
She's
a
like
weird accent.
Euro trash woman.
Who asks how to get out of Compton.
Yeah.
But when she's coming over, I think it's all what's his face, Mr. Raven Simone. He had a line where he said, "We're one of the guys says something about liking some cream in his coffee or something like that." And then Steve Ho says, "Oh yeah, well, I like my coffee black." And then the one guy, his creeped out face reaction shot was really funny.
They really try and set up the tree lot as this big community.
Yes,
center
we're getting
area.
to the talent show.
There's a talent show with a Kwanzaa dance demonstration that Aunt Abuta puts on. Sugar Stuff they give a performance at this.
Yes, but every Angelino knows that the Christmas tree lot talent show is a time-honored Compton tradition.
Is that true?
No. Oh, did the ring switch scene make you want J and B?
I saw it in the background. The classic.
When we were in Austin, Texas, and we got that huge, what is that, a handle of J and B?
Yeah, it's my favorite cheap scotch.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's good stuff. When I see the yellow and red, I'm either craving McDonald's or J and B. Those two colors, they do something.
Ketchup and mustard.
They have an effect on me.
Now, what was your favorite act in the talent show?
Probably the Kwanzaa dancing.
I rewound the puppet cop.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Rudolph, you fire.
So this
you know, Rudolph, you got too big to go down the chimney.
I'm thinking this puppet cop has got to be some kind of a somewhat famous thing, because he shows up 2 or 3 times in this as almost like a recognizable act that people would know. I don't know. A puppet cop, that's pretty funny. It's a good idea. But yeah, I did make a note of that, wondering like where did this come from? Is this a real thing? I don't know.
This is probably about the time, the first time I watched this movie, I mostly just waited for it to be over. But then when I was watching it the second time, I thought, wait, maybe the movie isn't stupid for not having more characters that look like me in it. And maybe even though these characters don't look like me, maybe we're not so different. And it brought to mind, Paul Schrader used to work for the Eames brothers, or he did an internship with the Eames brothers. And he asked them how they get the size of their chair, how they decide how big a chair should be. And the Eames brothers, they said, well, the first thing they did was they got a tape measure, and they went around to people in the office and had them measure their asses. And it would turn out that the average measurement, the mean ass measurement of people in their office would turn out to be an acceptable ass mean for the entire world. And that he would find that the size of people's asses did change over time, but whoever the people in the office were, that would always work for the whole world. And it made me think that, just because I don't look all that much like Cheryl Lee Ralph, I'll always have more in common with her than my best friend Charlie, my dog.
I like that. I have no words, Roy.
Then after this, don't they have another Christmas party at the tree lot?
They have stuff all the time. It's just an ongoing crazy thing. Yeah. Endless talent and activity. There's a play We'll get to that.
We get Steve Ho in another great bit doing Jingle Bells in Korean.
So this is kind of the romantic section of the movie too, because Derek and Kendra share a kiss. There's also a weird ice rink that is put up in the lot, like a little tiny ice rink. That's pretty confusing. I don't even think they show it before we see Omar and Kendra like slipping around. You're thinking like, what are they slipping on? Oh, it must be an ice rink that they forgot to show us. And maybe I missed it, but I don't know. I did see it twice. Pretty confusing. But yeah, there's this little ice rink, and that kind of comes in later too with something else. And we find out that
we had another just saying we had another bit in there, and when you're saying all those random scenes, there's the part where what's his face, Omar Gooding and one of the other dudes, they go to a lady's house to get money, and she's an overweight older lady with a
yeah, I left this out of my notes because I hope that we wouldn't talk about it.
Well, I thought two things. One, that her flab spilling out over the top of her robe when she finally takes that, or her slip when she kind of comes at them, was kind of funny. But also I couldn't believe the movie could afford Me and Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, they used that song in that scene.
I was like, whoa, they paid money,
because everything else is very, very, the music is very
they made
indie
it for
R&B.
the movie. Yeah, and it's kind of indie R&B. Good call.
So this film came out in 2012. Now, how do you think it was released?
I don't know. That's a good question. To me, it has a real TV movie feel, but I'm guessing it's direct to video.
Well, I would guess it would be direct to video, but I snooped around a bit and I went to the Christmas in Compton Facebook page.
Whoa.
And I scrolled all the ways down to November 9th, 2012, right around when the film was released. And it's giving theater times.
Oh, wow.
In California, Georgia.
Oh, so maybe they released it in quote urban markets.
Yeah, so it's playing
sense.
Dallas, Texas. Here's one in New York, New Jersey.
So they just played some major markets as an indie movie, went around.
Yeah. Well, we have this huge Christmas movie industry now with the Hallmark films. Lifetime does it as well.
Yeah, Miguel Nunez has been in 3 Christmas movies since this. I think Roberts has been in a trillion.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a big market for these movies, and I wonder.
Miguel Nunez was in The Drone That Saved Christmas.
I just wonder if this movie is one that gets any TV showing around Christmas time of year.
Yeah, good question.
Well, they definitely were going for that.
I don't know if there's a cable network or anything that caters to like an urban audience, like some kind of, I don't know, black entertainment television or something. I don't know if there's a channel.
You'll see more African-American themed Christmas movies. They weave those into the Hallmark and Lifetime.
Nice.
Into the programming. You see them, but I don't know. I've never paid attention to if this movie ever gets any love, but they definitely were trying.
It's got to be better than a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better than the Santa Suit with Kevin Sorbo.
I think I saw that one.
That's pretty good.
We could probably start a podcast about those damn Christmas movies.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's so many.
Christmas every day. Yeah.
Christmas every day. Man, that's a pretty good idea. Somebody should take that.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, during all this stuff here, we also learned that Big Earl and Auntie Buddha are kind of hooking up now. There's mention. This is the scene where Big Earl talks about the instant fatherhood thing. Or yeah, he said the best thing that ever happened.
Oh, yeah, this is the instant fatherhood.
Yeah, you find out that he and Buddha are kind of taking it to the next level.
And this is also a good sequence of this is a lot of heartwarming stuff happens in here, right? This was real heartwarming where everybody is. And there's the part where they're setting up the nativity scene.
Yeah, there's a poor family that shows up with
from an angle. A guy looks like he loves the donkey too much. Oh yes, the bunch of kids. Yeah, like and at least one of the kids had Down syndrome.
Yeah, I made note of that,
which bummed me out. You know how much
I know what that does to you.
Yeah, but I thought they did it in a good way. What about when the Down syndrome kid was counting on his fingers to do the math?
Yeah. The lady pulls out a calculator to figure up how many kids they have. Plus,
yes, and the dad can't do the math. Yeah,
he goes, "She's math, I'm labor."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did tug the heartstrings a little bit, and then like Omar Gooding ends up giving them a tree for -$10 because he tells them they have a spec discount for $10 off for every child because the kids find too big a tree, and so when they add up their kids, it turns out they owe them $10, and then Omar Gooding gives them the $10 and then apologizes to his dad, Big Earl, who says that look they have, it gets me every time. So
When
it turns out he gives away a tree probably.
When we were watching this, my girlfriend was like, "That's bullshit. They know that they're taking $10 from that guy."
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
yeah.
like her heart was not warmed.
Yeah.
Later that evening, there's some more entertainment, as there is every single day and night at this Christmas tree
that
lot.
couple just kind of a salt of the earthy kind of couple.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't mind it.
there's a nativity play that's going on that's nice and cute, and it gets interrupted by our good buddy Eric Roberts.
Yes.
Or he shows up and like puts the entire play on hold to tell everyone that he bought Derek's loan from that loan shark. Once again, Derek was screwed by not reading the fine print. And so he now owns the tree lot, and he has his ring back because his henchman stole it back from Delicious.
Yeah.
But strangely, somehow Tommy Maxell is not pressing charges.
No.
He finds out that it's Derek that drugged him and stole the ring.
Yeah, and all this information comes down in front of the girl.
Oh, yeah. Keith David sees it all. And Eric Roberts says he's going to make the lot into a strip club with a liquor store next door.
Yes.
And he says, I'm going to call it Strip and Lick.
Yeah, another guy, he loves that idea, his henchman.
So Keith David is pretty pissed off at his loser of a son. And so is the entire staff of this Christmas tree lot. And he kicks Derek out of the house. And that very night, he says he's going to start selling trees out of his own home. So this is a section of the movie where, as frustrating of a watch as it was, I genuinely did not know how they were going to save this Christmas tree lot.
Yeah, you knew it was going to have to be something crazy.
And then not long after, I realized neither did the writers.
It gets, yes. Oh man. Yeah.
Derek also loses Sugar Stuff for good. He's been trying to hold on to them, and they finally ultimately kicked him to the curb, and he's sleeping in the office of the lot. And this was a crazy moment of the film where there's very eerie music, and Derek wakes up and he sees a very spooky apparition skating on the little ice rink that I mentioned earlier. You remember the spooky apparition, Roy?
No.
Oh man, it's very spooky, and it never really shows who it is. I'm guessing it's his mother. It's some kind of ghost. Something he sees something totally, and has like a moment where he's like nodding his head, where he's like, And so the next day he shows up completely inspired to save the lot. He gathers all the employees, and he's got this brilliant plan.
Yes, wow.
And so his plan is he's going to make Sugar Stuff so hot that Tommy cannot resist them.
And the other
he's going to make
people
that
can't resist them either. Yeah.
The only way he can do this is he has to sell 30,000 CDs at what, $10 a pop?
Yeah. So Steve Ho miscalculates. It says 300,000 CDs. And somebody points out, he's like, okay, so I worst Asian at math or something like that. Not that great, but I did kind of like the bad math made me laugh, where he says like, 300,000, the guy's like 30,000 fool or something like that.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
So
okay, go ahead.
So Derek enlists all of the employees of this Christmas tree lot to go out and to sell these CDs, because they're going to generate so much interest in this group that Tommy will have no choice but to take them.
Or that that another company will want them just as badly as Tommy Maxell.
It'll generate a bidding war.
So he's going to try to
do anything.
They have to sell 30,000 CDs in a day.
Yes,
on the street.
Were you wondering where did these CDs come from? Did you wonder, Did you wonder how much individual CD costs?
Yeah. None of this made any sense at all. Just the idea that you could move 30,000 things on the street in a day with like 8 people. It was just like, if you were any of those people in that room, you just be like, sir, you are nuts.
So he basically closes the lot for the day, right? Because he has to take every single person and put them out on the street. And that night they do a little tally. After seeing the montage, how many CDs did you think they sold?
Shoot, I had no idea. I thought they were going to come back. I thought they were wrapping up the movie, so they'd come back and told us they sold them all.
I'm thinking they sold maybe 50 CDs.
That's what also, like I was like, there's no way this adds up to these people are wasting tons of time. And man, there's some real unfunny Steve Ho in this montage, by the way. There's some more bad Steve Ho. I guess
people were still buying CDs in 2012, but it was
starting
to die.
It's what's starting to die now because of COVID is people still try to sell you CDs on the street here in in LA for sure.
Like aspiring artists, you were trying to sell.
Well, I think most people who sell CDs on the street in LA are just hustlers, and they have some CD that they haven't spent, like maybe they recorded it 10 years ago, or who knows, they spent like 2 seconds on it, and their whole thing is just the selling of CDs to people. Like there's a guy that he would stand outside the ArcLight Cinerama Dome and try to sell CDs every day, and he would hit me up all the time for one, and I'd always think, like, when are you making music?
Yeah.
When are you writing music? When are you sell CDs 80 hours a week every week?
Where do you find the time, sir?
Yeah, and it's like, it's really just, it's all about the rap, suck you in, sell you a CD for $5 that probably cost him $1, probably more than $5, but he tells you it's more nowadays. But yeah.
Well, in the film, when they tally the numbers, they find they
Should've
sold
cost
about
$1.
1,200.
Yeah, way
Not
more
that
than
many.
they should have sold.
And so this is what in the,
What a song they had.
yeah,
Stuck in my head even now.
Sugar Crisp, man, pretty good. Big Earl gets busted by the police for selling Christmas trees out of his front yard.
Yes. So he goes to jail for selling without a permit. I think he would know about or something.
So once again, Derek and Steve Ho are going on one last Christmas tree delivery run in the truck, the company truck.
Mm-hmm.
They have another run in with this Trelo guy.
Yes, and his buddy.
Yeah. And this kind of turns into a big altercation that the cops show up and bust up. And we learn that Steve Ho already has 2 strikes against him.
How does their scam work? In the second case, doesn't it seem like he just runs into the back of Kubrick?
He's clearly at fault.
Yeah, in the second accident, I didn't pay attention in the first accident, but in the second one I did. I don't see how you could scam a guy. It seems like he should turn around and scam you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just run into a guy's car and then try to tell him it was his fault. It's like you rear-ended him. I once was trying to get on the freeway in the middle of the night, and a drunk guy was trying to get on the freeway in front of me, but apparently he changed his mind and didn't want to get on the freeway, and he flipped his car in reverse and smashed into my car. And and I couldn't even get away with getting any money out of the guy because they were like, we can't prove you didn't rear end him. And I was like, what? You're a heart lawyer.
Yeah. The rear ending thing, people always bring that up. Doesn't matter how it happens, you're always at fault.
Yeah.
I rear ended a guy one time who did that. He pulled out in front of me, and I was on the highway.
Oh wow.
And I didn't even I didn't even have time to put on my brakes. He pulled out in front of me, and I just bumped him. But it was such a minor bump that we just decided to not even make a thing of it. But the guy said, he goes, man, the guy said, I pulled out, and it was completely my fault.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I had a cool family once. I rear-ended a family in a traffic jam when I was younger, on the freeway. Not really hard. I was braking pretty hard by the time I hit them, but yeah, they just let me go. They're really nice. In fact, all the times I've gotten boned in traffic things were when the other person was at fault and we didn't call police to the scene or something. But in California, they can only make you exchange things. Like this guy that hit me, they didn't even check to see if he was drunk, and I was kind of shaken up from the accident and didn't just make a huge case like, hey, this guy's clearly drunk.
So he hung around.
They didn't care. Oh yeah. He waited for the cops. Yeah. It turned out his dad was a lawyer.
Was it Orlando Brown?
No, some guy from like NorCal or Oregon or something.
Yeah, I have no idea how this scam. I don't think the writers really thought it out very much.
No.
I think they just bully the guy. The Trelo guy is so big and scary that maybe the scam is that he's just so like intimidating that he just forces you to go and get your car repaired.
Go along with it.
Yeah, it's just intimidation of some kind. So they go to jail, Derek and Lowe, and while they're in the police station, they run into Big Earl.
Yeah,
and it's not really like consequence. It doesn't really have much weight.
This is one of this part though. The guy that plays Steve Ho, he kind of redeems himself. He's kind of funny when they're in jail. And he's telling the whole story of all the mistakes Omar Gooding has made, because at some point he tells them that they had to sell 500,000 CDs that day. So his bad math has gotten even worse.
Oh yeah. I guess it's important in that he's telling the story, and Keith David overhears it all. That's true, and also the story warms the heart of Trelo.
We missed one thing, was that before they went to jail and all this right here, there was a part where I think it's Portia Coleman brings the envelope of all the employee checks with Christmas bonuses for honest employees. Joe Margooding's like, do I have one in there? She's like, no.
Yeah.
That kind of made me laugh. Where
The
he looks
bonus
for it to see if
checks.
he got one of the honest employee checks, but in fact, when it's obvious that Dad only designated them as honest employee checks, so he to know he wouldn't get one.
There's a couple zingers in this.
Yeah, they're not. There's the like. Yeah, that's the problem. This movie never really works up much momentum, but it has funny throwaway lines from time to time. Yeah.
Let's see where we are here in the Cliff's notes.
We're finally wrapping it up. What's her face? Cheryl Lee Ralph shows up to bail out Keith David.
Yeah, and they have a moment where they're talking about Derek and his future again, blah blah blah. The next day is Christmas Eve, and the employees
Yeah,
are
golly,
still...
the days are just crawling by. I thought it was Christmas before too. Like when people show up to buy the trees on this day, like on the last day on Christmas Eve, I thought it was Christmas Day, and I was like, why are people buying Christmas trees on Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, when they were selling the CDs, I thought it was Christmas Eve, and I was like, oh my
Yes, me
God, he's going to
too.
make his employees run around
Yes, me
all
too.
day on Christmas Eve
I was
day
like,
to try and
this
sell
is the
these.
worst. Yeah.
But it
You
was
sold
the
the
day
lot out from
before.
under us. Now, please, can you work all Christmas Eve night trying to do this stupid scheme that won't work?
They're having this employee meeting on Christmas Eve day, and Derek is still trying to kind of inspire the troops, and they still want to help. They still think they can. And then Trelo shows up, and he says that his nephew was in Big Earl's community program and that he wants to help. He says, I understand you have a distribution problem. So they come up with some scheme to sell more CDs, right?
Yeah, which I didn't understand at all.
No, I kind of lost it. I wasn't paying too close of attention. But somehow it works because on Christmas Eve day, Sugar Stuff gets played on Power 103.
Oh yeah, they get it out on the radio.
So
That's
it gets
right.
on the radio, and
That's
Tommy
the scheme.
hears it. And this guy in Tommy's office is like, they're also they're getting radio play, and they're on iTunes now. And we see that Derek is starting to get big offers from the big record companies, and they mention Suge Knight as one of the... Someone says, don't forget Suge Knight called as well. Omar Gooding has a nice like chuckle at that, because I think at this point Suge Knight was... I can't remember where he is and where we are in the Suge Knight timeline.
He wouldn't be
in
in
and out of
prison
jail.
yet. Yeah, we get the real Suge Knight bust. Oh gosh, probably like 4 or 5 years later.
So Tommy shows back up that night. He interrupts something else. Maybe he just interrupted the talent show the first time we see him, because in my notes it says on Christmas Eve night is when he interrupts the nativity.
Yes.
He's an interrupter, and as he's showing up to seize the Christmas tree lot, Trelo shows up, and they've sold 10,000 Sugar Stuff CDs. He's got a big duffel bag with $100K in it.
Yes. Oh, at some point we saw 50-cent bail bonds, which I thought was funny. Just a company. We see it in the background somewhere that some company, like maybe when they're at somewhere, we just see something about 50-cent bail bonds on a sign, and I was like, that's a funny Compton business, because of course it's Raptor 50 cent, but also, if you're trying to save money, you could imagine you go to 50-cent bail bonds instead of the dollar store.
Trelo also says something like, he's like, we sold 10,000 Sugar Stuff CDs. I bought maybe 1,000 myself.
Yeah, he bought 1,000.
So he throws the duffel bag down, and they offer the money and the band to Tommy. And
in
Tommy,
exchange for the lot.
In exchange for the lot. And Tommy's getting ready to take the offer. But you see, Roy, Derek does not read fine print. How could you have forgotten this? And so Big Earl butts in, and he explained there was a scene that we forgot to mention, but earlier when Big Earl's angry at his son, he
makes him sign back
paperwork.
over. That's right, to sign back over the house.
Yeah, he's like, sign this to take your name off of the deed. And so he shows up and he says, when you sign that, you weren't signing the house deed thing. You were actually signing Sugar Stuff over to me.
Yes.
So Sugar Stuff belongs to Big Earl.
So Big Earl's concocted this whole scheme to get control of Sugar Stuff.
And the CD money, because he ends up with all the money.
Yeah, hoping that would pay off when he made the scheme.
Well, the big Christmas miracle is that no charges are pressed against Derek.
No.
For drugging people and stealing a ring. It's like it never, no matter how hard Eric Roberts gets screwed in this scene here.
Yeah, I guess the way I looked at it was maybe Eric Roberts just has no recompense with the cops because he's afraid of getting looked into for so many dirty dealings. Like, I mean, he's clearly got a guy going around trying to buy stolen property back and stuff with guns and intimidation.
I mean, it's It's brilliant, a brilliant stroke of writing. So much is left unsaid. That you just
Yes. Yeah, you can invent it
infer.
yourself. That's right.
So Earl is he's going to keep that 100K, and Tommy can have the Christmas tree lot because Earl's going to buy one right up the road, and he's going to have a new lot.
Because the lot isn't the real estate, it's the people.
Yeah. And then we cut to Christmas Day, and we see a sign that must have been made very quickly that night that says Big Earl's Christmas tree, Compton Christmas trees, future home of Maxell Community Center. And
yeah, because they're going to decide they are going to do business with Maxell, but make him pay a lot. I don't understand why they didn't just go to a different company in the end. It's just say screw you. But in the end, they decide to take Maxell for a bunch of money.
How did they convince Maxell to dress as Santa Claus? Did Maxell just do it out of the goodness of his own heart?
I think maybe they had to have written it into the contract as part of to embarrass him.
And strangely, so this is Christmas Day. You're going to take your children to go visit a Santa on Christmas Day at a Christmas tree lot?
Tough call. I could see somebody doing that as a family tradition, but I don't know. Yeah, it seems like by Christmas Day, Santa's gone.
Pretty weird,
right? Like you like the whole idea of Santa is that he comes on Christmas Eve.
Don't we see the cop puppet around again for a minute?
But I think you can maybe get your picture taken with Santa at the Scientology Center on Christmas Day. At L. Ron Hubbard's Winter Wonderland.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that when you were in LA?
The Scientology Center?
The L. Ron Hubbard's Winter Wonderland.
No.
That's a real thing on Hollywood Boulevard every year. There's a lot that by one of the Scientology buildings that is like open in a Santa's, and then it's L. Ron Hubbard's Winter Wonderland, and it has a thing when you walk in over the gate that says, when we can all finally trust each other, then there will be peace on earth, L. Ron Hubbard. And yeah, they have a pretty sweet fake snow Santa set up, and kids in LA can go get their picture taken with Santa up there. I think it's free.
Whoa. So Scientology acknowledges Christmas.
Yeah.
Cool. They're not so bad. Well, that's the movie. That's how the movie ends.
Yeah, we get that speech at the end by Keith David, right, where he is explaining what happened to everything and what everyone did. But he had one weird, was like Derek producing music and such. There was some weird dialogue in his speech that I thought could have been better written.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of he's trying to make it rhyme like The Night Before Christmas. But yeah, even the attempt at rhyming is not great. And we know Keith David, man, he works hard to sell lines.
Yeah, he really does a good job.
He's a hard-working guy, but he doesn't quite sell this.
This end dialogue.
This end dialogue. So the movie ends, and then we have a bizarro text at the end of it.
Yeah.
So we mentioned conscious filmmaking earlier, and do you want me to just read?
Please do.
The text
great.
here?
Not crawl, but a title card at the end.
We get a title card that says this film is an exercise in conscious filmmaking. Conscious filmmaking is the idea that it is not only a film's goal to become a profitable and successful venture, but also that the filmmakers give back to the community in which it takes place. Conscious filmmaking requires that a film actually contribute to the betterment of the world and leave the community better than before the film was made. Christmas in Compton is a conscious film.
I thought that PSA actively made the movie worse.
Pretty a shameless thing to throw in.
Yeah, it's like you're a good person for watching it. They should have put it. What was the one? You remember the movie, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, where like they really tried to sell it to you based on the fact that we're doing this for Heath Ledger.
Yeah, there's some kind of text at the end or at the beginning.
Yeah, where they're like dedicated to, and maybe they used it in the marketing too, like to really tell you if these actors came in because Heath Ledger died. Then the whole thing in the end credits, they said it was like dedicated to Heath. And yeah, if you're for Heath, then you're gonna have liked this movie.
Heath Ledger was a conscious filmmaker.
Man, I was reading an article in theringer.com about I don't know whose idea it was to do this, but an oral history of the making of A Knight's Tale, and which is never a movie I liked very much in the first place. But one of the guys, he tells a story about Heath Ledger getting these tattoos that were 3 concentric circles. And the guy was like, what is that? And he's like, well, the outside circle is the universe, and the second circle is the earth, and the middle is me. Now, I can't say Heath Ledger deserves to be dead, but I don't know too many people that would say I get a tattoo like that deserve to be alive.
Damn. You think he got it from a conscious tattoo artist?
Yeah, in the 5th dimension.
Well,
I wanted to bring up on that PSA though. Oh, we got a nice siren. So Did you
They're
see the
coming for
crazy
you.
black bar at the bottom of that PSA?
At the end of the film?
When they have that title card, part of the title card, this text ends about 2/3 of the way down the screen.
Yeah.
And then there's a black bar, like a weird shaped black bar that looks like it's covering something up. And I wasn't sure, are they trying to underline everything else that they wrote? Well, then why is it black on black? Or have they covered up a credit that they don't want us to see anymore? It was really weird. It's below where it says Christmas in Compton is a conscious film. Yeah, there's a weird black bar.
Well, I don't really have much else to say on it. I wanted it to be a holiday classic that people would return to in the same way that they do with A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation and various others. It has suggestions of that, and you really want it to be something more. It has that Friday quality that a lot of black character comedies that came afterwards that were successful, like Barbershop.
Yeah, a good one was Lottery Ticket.
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's definitely like they're trying to go for that audience.
Yes, sure. Urban family film.
Yeah, but just doesn't quite get there.
No, I think that it wasn't quite as bad. Like critics online and viewers really hate this movie. I did not hate it, but it was mediocre.
Yeah.
I had a few notes. One, let me get a little water really fast. I ran out of water.
I'm gonna use the bathroom.
1 sec. Okay, cool.
I'll be right back.
Notes. All right. Couple of other Miguel Nunez credits. He was in something called TV the Movie.
Nice.
And he was also in the movie Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia, based on the video game.
Okay.
And I wanted to mention that this movie was pretty crazy because the villain in it, M. Bison from the video games, this was the big, strong guy that you would physically get in a big martial arts fight with to win the video game, was played by Raul Julia, who at the time of the making of the picture was dying of stomach cancer. And they had to shoot around him all the time for when he would just be healthy enough to be able to act. And so but then they have to have physical fight scenes with a man who looks like he weighs 3 pounds in a costume that's way too big for him at this point, with a hat that looks like it's made for someone with a head 30 sizes too big. It's pretty sad.
He looks like he's wearing a talking head suit.
Yes, because he's just wasting away. And it's so incredible. But then at the end of the movie, the character Bison dies in a big pile of rubble. And the movie itself, I think in the end credits, even dedicates itself to the memory of Raul Julia. But then at the end of the credits, a lot of people don't know this because few people stuck around to the end of Street Fighter, but there's a post-credits stinger teaser little clip at the end of the movie Street Fighter, and it's Raul Julia coming back to life out of the rubble for a sequel. So you have to think they and he both knew he was dying when they filmed a thing of him coming back to life for a sequel that they knew he would never live to make.
Weird.
So were they saying, hopefully this makes enough money we can recast your role?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, what else do I have? There was a in credits we had a hairstylist assistant named Jermica Barclay. Then there was a digital intermediate colorist named Nimrod Zalmanowitz.
Oh yeah, we had a laugh at that.
But did you see that there was a dedication on the movie to 3 people? The first one was Joseph Hubbard Jr., who was an actor, I think, and a musician. He's, I believe, probably David Raynor's father. At one point, Joseph Hubbard Jr. was an associate producer on a film.
Are you trying to tell me that David Raynor's father is David Agresta?
No, but I am going to tell you that his father had a hand in making a film called Getting Over that is described on IMDb as this tuneful drama features the rock group Love Machine as it tells the story of a record promoter hired by a crooked producer to fulfill affirmative action quotas. It is the hardworking, independent-minded promoter who discovers and develops the Love Machine, an all-female group. The trouble begins when the group's lead singer is kidnapped and the promoter learns that his employer's label is really a front for the mob. So it seems like this movie owes a big debt to that movie.
Well, I was going to say this, I've forgotten that I made a note that the whole plot of this movie feels like it could have been just some kind of like comedy about the record industry, and they just tacked on the whole Christmas thing to it. So, yeah, maybe Raynor took his father. You said his father wrote that?
It's somebody that he's related to. I believe Raynor's real name, or Raynord's used to go by Hubbard.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing he's this guy's son, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could have been a different script that they just watered down with a bunch of weird Christmas shit.
And then it's also dedicated to Mary Siemens, who I guess had passed away recently when the film was made. I don't know if she contributed to this film, but she was part of the Duke family, tobacco heir, Duke University, and she was a big civil rights patron and activist. The film is dedicated to her as well. It is also dedicated to someone named J.R., on which I could find no info.
Well, I would say if you get a kick out of Eric Roberts in like a weird villainy kind of role, and you're just in the mood for a little Christmas in July, and you want to find this movie, it's on HBO Max. It's a mixed bag.
One more thing, Omar Gooding was on a show that lasted one season called Playmakers, and I don't know, some people might remember this show, but if you've ever seen the movie Any Given Sunday and thought, hey, why didn't somebody try to do that again? ESPN had a football show about a pro football team called Playmakers. And it really tried to recapture the feeling of Any Given Sunday of being gritty and behind the scenes and kind of a tell-all ugly look at pro football. And it lasted a season, and the NFL asked them to stop doing it. And so they canceled the show.
What's Omar up to these days?
I'm not sure. Seems like more of the same.
Yeah.
Working, getting that work.
Putting in the work. Well,
that show Deadwood was neat. That guy, David Milch, he made a long career in TV. I think he has dementia now, so we won't be expecting anything else from him, but he would make a habit almost of like Tarantino-esque of finding these people who you'd kind of written into a box as a TV actor of one note or something, and then giving them a really good part. And he did that with Omar Gooding on Deadwood. Then he would do it with like Mark Paul Gosselaar and Luke Perry on John from Cincinnati. He had that girl that had I can't remember the actress's name. She played she has cerebral palsy in real life and was on
Black Candace Cameron
and was on Facts of Life, but she was a major part on Deadwood and then was on Luck and stuff. And you just find these people that are kind of forgotten or pigeonholed and give them something to do that's really good, kind of neat.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Well, not a whole lot of Roberts in this one.
No, I liked him though in it.
Yeah, he's funny.
He brought comedic energy.
I did not get a Brooklyn thing from him. Maybe I didn't listen close enough, but he's definitely going for something crazy in this. And I think that the next one that we watch, I need more Roberts.
Well, I've already picked out. It's my turn to choose, and you've inspired me to want to see a geezer teaser. And our next movie will be The Rebels of PT 218.
From what year?
2021.
All
Asylum
right.
Pictures is back, baby.
Let's do it. Let's get teased. Well, you guys have your assignment, so we'll see you next time around.
Okay, so you're heartbroken.